Good morning, children. Welcome to Geography Class 8, Chapter Urbanization, Session 2. So, before we begin, let us have a quick look at what we have studied in our previous session. And our previous session, we have studied about the meaning of urbanization. Urbanization is a process of urban growth that leads to greater percentage of population living in towns and cities. Now, we had studied that there were three historical processes which had shaped the modern cities in decisive ways. Firstly, it was the rise of the Industrial Revolution, then establishment of the colonial rules and the democratic ideals. Okay, so it was the urbanization. There are three factors like the Industrial Revolution which took place there, the colonial rule, and the development of democratic ideals. Now it was seen that though urbanization had taken place since the time of Mohenjo-daro, but the modern urbanization, what was the main thing which was responsible for the modern urbanization? It was industrialization which had taken place. Now, the early industrial cities of Britain like Leeds, Manchester, now they also attracted a large number of migrants to the textile mills. Now I had told you that the two industrial cities of Leeds and Manchester. So it was because of the establishment of the textile mills that many of the people from around, they migrated to these cities, and as a result, these cities are mega cities now because of the establishment of textile mills which attracted many migrants for the search of job. Then agricultural revolution was one of the reasons, and well as the enclosure movement was also one of the reasons for the growth of Manchester and London. Now Bombay and Calcutta was the two mega cities in India which was developed during the colonial time, and again people from Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Central India, they all migrated to these cities in search of job. Now there were two factors which were responsible for urbanization, the main factors, that is the factors which are attracting the people to come to these places. They may be the economic opportunity, better jobs, better quality of life, better services, better housing and freedom, and things like that. These were called the pull factors, and the push factors were those which were people in the countryside or the villages were facing lack of economic opportunities, division of land, lack of services, rural poverty, drought, flooding. So all these were the factors which were compelling people to migrate to these major towns and cities. Now today we start with the factors, positive and negative impact of urbanization. Now urbanization is a natural part of the transition from low productivity agriculture to higher productivity industries and services. So areas which were otherwise low productivity agricultural area, they changed to high productivity industry and services. So that was a positive impact. Then cities are important drivers of development and poverty reduction in both urban and rural areas as they concentrate much of the national economic activity, government, commerce and transportation. Now these cities, since all the government is also operating from here, as well as many of the economic activity is taking place in these cities, so there is concentration. Most of the commerce, transportation and all type of economic activity is being taken place in the city. More than 80% of the global income is also generated in these cities. So they are places for where economic activity is taking place in and from where income is generated. Urban living is often associated with higher levels of literacy and education, better health, greater access to social services, and enhanced opportunities for cultural and political participation. So, when we are talking about urban living, so all these things are associated with it. No country has ever reached the middle income status without a significant population shift into cities. So every country there has been migration within. They cannot reach the middle income status unless people from the countryside or the rural areas are migrating and settling down in these major cities. Next is, however, the speed and the scale of urbanization also brings a variety of challenges. Now, though there are positive aspects, there are many challenges or the negative aspects or problems faced by these urban cities. Now, what are these problems which are faced? Including its impact on environment and quality of life. The more the people, the more the vehicles, and the more the waste generated, and what happens actually is environmental degradation. The quality of the air declines. Okay. Because of the effects of traffic congestion, concentration of industry, inadequate waste disposal systems, environmental contamination is generally higher in city than in the countryside. Is that clear? So these are the various reasons: too much of population, too much of waste generated, too much of vehicles plying on the road, and which is contaminating the environment. So environment contamination is one of the major problems which is faced by the mega cities. Cities also put a huge pressure on land, water, and natural resources. Now people, when they are migrating, too many, you have recently seen that with this lockdown, the people were, lakhs of people, millions of people were returning back to their countryside, their home. So when they were settled in a mega cities, now the city has only a small amount of land, and in that they are adjusting themselves. Sometimes this is what is helping them to build up slums. And here we can see that in Mumbai, the Dharavi located in Mumbai is the largest slum of the world. So this is what is created. The largest slum of the world is also created when too many people are migrating in search of jobs, settling down to make the slum area. And within an area of just 2 square kilometers, a population density of approximately 3 lakh per square kilometer, Dharavi is also one of the most densely populated areas on earth. The Dharavi slum was founded in 1882 during the British colonial era and grew in part because of an expulsion of factories and residents from the peninsular city centre by the colonial government, and from the migration of poor rural Indians into urban Mumbai. Now it so happened that the colonial government that time, they decided to expel all the factories from the city to maybe the outskirts of the city or maybe to some other areas. But the migrants or the laborers who were working, they settled down there, and more migrants came and settled down, making this region a slum area. And they made their own tanneries, their own recycling factories there, their own garment factories within this Dharavi slum area. So, but you can see that it is congested. The way of life that they are living is pathetic. So let us come back to this region. Yes, even though urbanization may increase incomes, it also linked to increase in urban poverty. So though it is increasing the income, but what is actually, it is also increasing urban poverty. Most of the Asian and the African cities are facing the problem of slums. So mostly where you find slums, mostly in Asia and the African cities, they are facing the problem of slums. Slums have invariably extreme unhygienic conditions. So you can see in this picture that slum has extreme unhygienic conditions. Consequently, people suffer from waterborne diseases like blood, dysentery, diarrhea, malaria, typhoid, jaundice. So all these are a result of the unhygienic conditions in which they are forced to live. Too many people living in a small area, and that was the reason why the COVID-19 had spread in this whole Dharavi so rapidly. Okay, now the UN estimates that the number of people living in the slum passed 1 billion in 2014 and could reach 1.39 billion in 2020. Must have reached by now. Now, Asia has by far the highest number of city dwellers living in the slums. The problem is worst in South Asia. So South Asia is, all this part is, India is in South Asia, a part of South Asia, where half of the urban population is composed of slum dwellers. But in percentage terms, Sub-Saharan African leads the pack. About 72% of the city dwellers in that region live in slums. So Sub-Saharan Africa has 72% of the city dwellers living in slums. Now in these areas, the child mortality rate is high. The child mortality rate, the child death rate is high. Primary education enrollment is lower in slums than in the non-slum urban areas, urban districts. Why is it so? Because the children are engaged in some or the other factories. They are working as child laborers. So there is very less number of children who are enrolled for education. And as such, the slum dwellers are more vulnerable to environmental disasters and pollution. These inequalities often lead to another, sometimes greater social problems as crime and violent conflict. Now when they are out of job, they have no economic opportunities are there, or less economic opportunities, no jobs. The youth sometimes living in these slums, they get attracted towards crime and violent conflict. The proportion of young people is particularly high in the slum areas. So in the slum areas, you find mostly the young people living where employment opportunities are limited. This combination of youth and poverty can make for high crime rates. Some demographers have forecast that the increasing concentration of humanity in big cities will lead to major conflicts affecting both urban areas and the entire country. So they have forecast that so many people living in the big cities will lead to major conflicts, both in the urban areas and in the entire country also. As cities grow in number and size, the problem of pollution and trash disposal is assuming alarming proportions. So they are, the more the people, the more the waste generated. And if this waste is not managed properly, if it is not disposed of properly, it can assume alarming proportion and may cause many problems. Huge quantities of garbage and harmful gases produced by our cities pose a serious health problem. So they are also, the garbage is producing harmful gases, and also the traffic also produces a lot of harmful gases, and this poses a serious health problem to the city dwellers. Most cities do not have proper arrangement of garbage disposal, and the existing landfills are full to the brim. Now, what are landfills? Landfills are regions where the city garbage is dumped. So when they are saying most of the existing landfills are full to the brim, that means they have already become full. And there is no other place of disposing the garbage. These landfills are hotbeds of diseases and innumerable poisons leaking into the surroundings. People who live near the rotting garbage and raw sewage fall easy victim to several diseases like dysentery, malaria, plague, jaundice, diarrhea, typhoid. So these are the problems of the people living in such unhygienic conditions, because they fall easy victims to several diseases like this. Now, future of urbanization. Now, there are so many problems when people are coming from all over the place and residing in one place. The quality of life declines. Now, so future of urbanization. We cannot think of development when our cities remain squalor, quality of urban life declines, and the urban environment is damaged beyond repair. So what is happening, that if we cannot think of development, what development is there when our cities remain squalor, it's scattered, it's so dirty, filthy, quality of urban life has declined, and the urban environment has damaged beyond repair. So what development are we talking about? So construction of environmental friendly cities or satellite town or smart cities is the answer to the emerging multiple problems of the mega cities. So what are these? You can see the mega cities. Now this is the smart cities which has been made. So what is the alternative? To make smart cities, which are also called satellite town, and it is made near to the mega cities. So this is one of the answer to the emerging multiple problems of the mega cities. Satellite towns are smaller municipalities that are adjacent to the metropolitan areas. Children, underline this statement. This is the definition for the satellite town. Some examples of Indian satellite cities are Gurgaon, Noida, Faridabad, Ghaziabad. So here new residential areas are made, better infrastructure is given, new hospitals are made, better roads are made, good transportation systems are there, better telecommunication systems are there. So it is overall called a smart city. Besides providing its residents with superior quality of living in the form of road connectivity, electricity, water, drainage, and other important amenities, it also enables to propel the local economy. So it also helps to propel, that is, increase the local property, local economy. It leads to appreciation in the prices of land and residential property. So what does that mean? It leads to appreciation in the prices of land and residential property. That is, the market value of the residential and the property, residential property, or be the price of land, it is much more higher in these regions in and around the satellite city. For residents in the main city who wish to escape from the stress, pollution, and hassles of the city life, it provides them with a viable alternative. So those who wish to escape from the stress, pollution, and the hassles of the city life, it is a very good or a viable alternative, a feasible alternative, what do we say? It is a good alternative, practical alternative for them. Transport infrastructure developed in satellite city not only provides its residents easy accessibility but also enables to decongest traffic in the main city. So transport infrastructure is also there in these satellite city. So it is able to decongest the traffic of the main city. Moreover, satellite cities provide scientific balance between the pollution and the resources needed by them, leading to environment-friendly and sustainable development. So these satellite cities which are made like the Gurgaon, Noida, Faridabad, Ghaziabad, so they are actually providing a balance between the population and the resources, which are leading to an environment-friendly and sustainable development. Okay children, we end here today. We will just proceed from where we have left today. Till then, stay safe, stay at home. Thank you.